formula. And it's always, well, not always, but most of the time when you're dealing with sequences, you're going to see the notation A sub n. What does that mean? That means you're going to have a letter A, and then you're going to have a little letter N that's sitting called a subscript, which means it's not an exponent, it's actually at the bottom. Very similar to an exponent, except for it's at the bottom and not at the top here. So I have A sub n, and this one we're going to start off with equals 3n. And we're going to write a sequence following this rule. What we do is we make this chart here. We put a n here because it stands for the number of term. This is the first term, the second term, the third term, the fourth term. And then we put A here because that's what it equals to, A sub n. When I let n equal 1, it becomes 3 times 1, which is equal to 3. When I let n equal 2, it becomes 3 times 2, which is equal to 6. When I let n equal 3, it becomes 3 times 3, which equals 9. And when I let n equal 4, it's 3 times 4, which is then 12. Let's take a look at another very easy sequence. A sub n equals 7n. So what we would do if we were creating a sequence using this rule, the n would go here, the A sub n would go there. The first term of the sequence, is 7 times 1, which is 7. The second term of the sequence, 7 times 2, is 14. The third term of the sequence is 7 times 3, which is 21. The fourth term of the sequence is 7 times 4, which is 28. Sometimes you're going to see a sequence that looks like this. A sub n equals 2 to the nth power. If I have something that looks like that, then I create a sequence chart. And again, I would start with the first term of the sequence. This time, the number that I plug in is the exponent of the number 2. So as I plug in a 1, it becomes 2 to the first power. 2 to the first power equals 2. When I plug in 2, it becomes 2 to the second power. 2 to the second power is 2 times 2, which is 4. When I plug in 3, it becomes 2 to the third power, which remember is 2 times 2 times 2. 2 times 2 is 4. 4 times 2 is 8. So the third term of the sequence is 8. The fourth term of the sequence is when I plug in the number 4, which I would then have 2 to the fourth power, which is 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. 2 times 2 is 4, 2 times 2 is 4, and 4 times 4 is 16. Sometimes the sequences are going to get a little bit complicated. Sometimes you're going to get a sequence that looks like this. A sub n equals 8n minus 2. If you're given a complex sequence like this, don't be alarmed. You follow the same procedure. You put the number of term here, and then you put what comes out, the value of the term. So when I let n equal 1, this becomes 8 times 1 minus 2. 8 times 1 is 8. 8 minus 2 is then 6. When I let n equal 2, 8 times 2 minus 2 becomes 16 minus 2, which is then 14. Sometimes the question is going to ask you to find the 10th term of a sequence. If you're asked to find the 10th term of a sequence, then you would simply plug in 10. If I'm asked to find the 10th term, it would be 8 times 10 minus 2. 8 times 10 is 80. 80 minus 2 is 78. Notice how I put a few dots here. Those few dots indicate the missing terms that are in between the 2 and the 10. In other words, I made a jump. There you go.